Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ivan Vincent with Truth Is. I'm going to discuss just kind of some basic things. I'm not going to focus on any one thing for this entire show. I want to go over some things, just kind of basic things that I think a lot of people like on you take like the guys who are talking about the man and women problem right now, like Taylor the Fiend, Manosphere, Lock the Bounty Hunter, Pearl, Mini Talkers. What's her name? Pearl Talk. And a bunch of the Shoe on Head. A bunch of them, they're talking about the problems between men and women and the rise of this MGTOW movement, where men, it's called men MGTOW, which means men going their own way. And we'll get to this in just a minute. Back. I was gonna go over my little show emblem one day, or explain to you everything, because there's a man standing there looking at a white rabbit. He's the seeker. The rabbit is, all of us. He's all of us, and the rabbit's, them chasing the truth. And then there's the secret knowledge is the Sphinx. And then if you look, and a lot of people don't notice, there's actually a red-haired woman standing behind the Sphinx. And that's really more directly related to me, because there was this girl I looked for years. I found her, sort of, didn't. Long story. I got married. My wife and I were married for 20 years. She passed away suddenly in August of 2020. So she was doing birth control pills, and they said because we were traveling, she was traveling, sorry. She went on a vacation with the girls this time, and she came back, and 2 days later I lost her. So, it's a long story. But anyway, I'm actually in the process of finally packing my house up, and I'm going to be moving. I'm disabled, and I don't know if I've ever let any of y'all know that in this particular, but I've been trying to get disability for 4 years now, going on 4 years. And what happened was, I was first diagnosed in 2016. So I kept working because I didn't want to live on disability. Everything I knew, it always seemed like it was very little, to live off of. But I guess maybe that was because some of the people who we knew that were getting it had never really worked that much before they ended up on it, and there was some long story. And they were disabled. They had bad knees, but my knees went bad because I have osteoarthritis in them. But I worked my whole life to the point where, I don't know if you know this, but when you collect Social Security, there's two different kinds of Social Security you can get. One's if you worked so many years that you're what they call insured. I was insured. Some people work so little that they're not insured. And when you're insured, you can make more money on the side too. You're allowed to make a certain amount of money, as to where if you were never insured, you can't really, I don't know if you can make any at all. And I think you can also own property as well on this one. Well, here's the thing. When my wife passed away, some properties that she was part owner of, they were supposed to, her and her brother made a deal They were supposed to transfer some property into her name and some into his. Well, she passed away and they never got it done. Sorry. So you might notice I have a little bit of what they call it, drywall compound on me, because I've been like we're filling nail holes and anyway, getting my house ready to pack it up and leave. And nonetheless, I wanted to go over a few things about the news. And one thing is, sorry, my nose. Oh, why my nose is, I think I got one of those wild mustache hairs that keeps coming up and tickling my nose. Jack Smith going after Trump, which everybody knows it's political. Everybody knows it's a political stunt. What a lot of people don't realize is whenever you're appointed to the position of a special prosecutor, that you're supposed to already served years or been in, selected by Congress before, and you're sort of what they call a U.S. attorney, right? And you have to be a superior officer, and then to be appointed, and you have to be selected by the president and then voted in by Congress. You're not supposed to bypass it. So Jack's whole appointment is illegal. Everybody keeps yelling 91 charges. Well, 91 charges that are all really fraudulent, because his whole appointment is criminal. It was against the law. By appointing him, they broke the law. So now they really are the criminals, and they're prosecuting the innocent man. Now, I don't care what you think. I know Trump was innocent. I know he worked, and I know he built his businesses, and everybody says all these things about him. He filed bankruptcy 90,000 times. No, he filed bankruptcy. Let's get this straight, 4 times. Okay? 4. He pulled 3 of them back out of bankruptcy, and he would have pulled Atlantic City out of bankruptcy too, but for a stubborn business partner. You can argue that all you want. I don't care. You don't know what you're talking about. The man rescued all those businesses. His name was on those businesses for years. He did a great job building all the casinos and all these beautiful buildings, just some phenomenal buildings. And now you all act like he did something to you. What did he do to any of you, really? Why do you hate this man? Who is this? Look, I'm going to just put it to you like this. Nobody on our side worships Trump, okay? You keep saying that. There's people who really love him. Yes, there are. Because there's people know what you've done to him and what you're doing to him now. And in essence, you're sort of martyring an innocent man. And therefore, you're doing something you don't understand that you're doing. You're making it worse, okay? Look, on yourself anyway, because he didn't do anything to deserve because he never did anything. For all those years, the rappers loved him, the businesses loved him, he built buildings, he didn't do anything to any of you. He wasn't considered to be racist. He gave money to all those historic black colleges and universities on a yearly basis. He signed the executive order where they didn't have to come and beg in Washington for money every year. What did Joe Biden do? First thing he did, that's one of the first things he repealed. Well, y'all should have been mad about that. Y'all think he's really for black people? He scratched the money Trump assigned to the historic just because Trump was the one who did it. That's ridiculous. He scratches his prescription drug bill. Then he comes and signs another one that's not even half as good. I'm telling you, everything y'all think he's doing, he's screwing this country up. I don't care what you think, okay, on that level. And again, he's not this great man. He's a criminal, and he's hired criminals to prosecute Trump, and the whole system is corrupted. I'm going to tell you something. All of you all on the left, for 60 years, you marched on D.C. talking about government corruption, and now it's like you don't think it's there. They're all innocent. Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Are we in the same planet? Are we on? Y'all knew they were corrupt for 60 years. Now you think they're innocent, and it was Trump all them years? Is that what you think? What's wrong with you? Get help. You know what I'm saying? Because that's mental. Trump didn't do anything to any of you. Never did. Never did anything to you. And that thing, all these things y'all do, y'all take him out of context, like that little thing about him grabbing. He said no. And I'm going to tell you this one more time. He said that groupie type girls were so excited to be in star-stricken that they would let a guy do those things. And that is where y'all took that out of context, like he was really running around doing it. Y'all, everything y'all said about him is a twist of the truth. It's not the truth. You have to tell the truth. Do you know what the 8th commandment is? Thou shalt not bear false witness. That's what every one of you have done. You're bearing false witness against a man. He didn't do anything to any of you except try to help you, and you turned against him. Here, all these years, y'all said, all we need is one good politician to get in there and do the things he said he's going to do, and then he did it, and y'all turned on him. What's wrong with you? Okay, and now let's get back onto the other subject I was talking about earlier. Men and women, you know, look, I'm gonna tell you something. I like I said, I was a kid when my parents got divorced when I was a little kid, so things didn't look so rosy for me. And all this stuff to talk about privilege, and that's another thing I've talked about in other videos. I've never ever seen privilege in my life. Again, I grew up, I was so poor. One time I lived next to the projects, and those kids had more money than I did. There was nights when we either had to pay our heating bill or buy food. So we had to choose between whether we were going to have food or whether we was going to have to pay our heat and not freeze to death. You know, so, and then we would only be able to stay somewhere so long till we couldn't keep up with the rent anymore, and then we'd get kicked out and we'd go somewhere else. That's the way my whole childhood was. And you say, oh, he didn't use his white privilege the right way. Wrong. And let me tell you something else. And this is a thing you do to all white people, okay? Shame on you for being racist against white people. Shame on you, and I'll say it. I'm not afraid to say it because it's wrong. I don't care how you try to... all these white people in this country came here, a lot of them, after slavery had ended. None of these people owe you anything. You're no better than they are. You're no different than they are. Why should you have all these extra rights? You know what Thomas Sowell said? He said, when people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. Now you think about that for a minute. You know, you all have the NAACP, you have the 100 black dentists, 100 black this, 100 black. There's like BET, there's NAACP, there's I get the ACL, you might as well be yours too. There's equal housing, there's equal opportunity employment, there's, you know, all these things that are set up for you. And on our side, if we put a graph of black things and white things, and I actually have this, somebody made this and posted it, so I posted it up here. But you see, all we have is privilege. Well, what privilege did I get? Huh? I grew up my whole life poorer than dirt. Where was my privilege at? Everything I've ever had in my life, I had to work for. And let me tell you something else, again, about white people. All the people in this country are mixed with something. You're mixed. I would 99%. How many of y'all hate white people and you got white in you? You ever think about that? You hate white people, but you got white in you. I have all kinds of stuff in me. I'm Native American. I'm Egyptian. I'm Hebrew. I'm Chinese. I'm white. I got all kinds of Native American. I got like, sorry, I just messed my hair up, Sam. I got Cherokee, Shoshone, Powhatan, Mohawk, Huron, Blackfoot, and Chickasaw, Chippewa. One or the other, but they never could figure out what this one ancestor of ours was, because her marriage license actually said Indian woman on it. So, and their property. So, we're all like so like interwoven, and then because some of us look like this and you look like that, then there's no reason for all this. You know, if you want racism to end it. End it. Just stop talking about it. If you keep lighting a fire, you put the match on it and you throw the kindling on there, what's going to happen? You're starting a fire. Huh? Only way it's ever going to stop is if you just let it go. Sorry, that's just the way it is. It's not, if you keep bringing it back up, it's not going to go away ever. You're just going to keep bringing it back. See what I'm saying? You keep breathing into it, it's going to keep, you know what I mean? Well, you're the one who's doing it. Stop doing it. Now, back to what I was talking about. MGTOW. Men and women. There is something wrong in the mindset of women. And I'm not gonna look. I'm not trying to be mean, okay? I like women. I always loved women. I loved my wife until the day she died, you know? I had that, always had that idea in my head that I would, you know, have a family someday in a house, and it just, my life never ever really, I think I had some help, but that's another story that's going to be told another day. I had some help not being successful, and I'm going to talk about being blackballed right here on this tape, because some people sound like, you know, you think you're going to make an excuse about something, and it's not about that. I've been busting my butt my whole life. As a matter of fact, even though I can't really do anything here because of this HOA, I'm still writing books, and I have 2 on the market, and I'm almost done with my 3rd one, which technically I wrote this book time upon time back in 1997 and lost the originals in a fire. I lost all the sketches that I had accumulated through my childhood, and, you know, sketches and pencil sketches and art I did growing up, and all of it is burned up. And there was 2 pictures that survived of this dream thing I had years ago, and that's in other videos. There was a house in with a creek around it, and there's a girl that was there, and I drew her too. So they weren't finished. The drawings were never finished, so they weren't with the rest of my drawings. They were still, you know, in the working on pile. So they survived, and my books didn't. So right now I am nearly done with Time Upon Time, and it's going to be in 2 parts. Part 2 is going to be called Time Upon Time and Again, and it's still almost the same as it was when I put so much thought into making it just the way I did back then, and I think even my state of mind then was probably better than it is now because of all this negativity we've had to endure for 10 years now. And I tried to consider that when I was rewriting it, and I don't want it to be all dark like now. Like my last 2 books, Book of Dracula, they're actually pretty good. They're not really dark at all. They're so Book of Dracula and Book of Dracula 2: The Hidden, and they're not what you think, because they're not this guy hopping through windows and drinking women's blood and like all these other Dracula books, you know. How many maidens can he get before they catch him or whatever, you know. It's nothing like that. Anyway, the thing is with men and women, I think that women complain about men being superficial, but women are really superficial. It's the truth. You're superficial because, take for instance me right now. You know, here I'm handicapped. I'm disabled. I used to get a lot of, I didn't say I get a lot of girls, but I've had quite a few girlfriends in my life. Not really an ugly guy, so I did pretty good, especially when I was slimmer, you know. But this is an example right now. No girl would even think about dating me because, for one, I'm disabled. Number two, the system is running me down the road, and I'm about to lose everything. So that alone, the money would put any girl out right now, because to women it's all about money. See, and that's where I'm different on that, because if I had a woman who I really cared about, and I knew she cared about me the same way, I would fight the system. Even if I lost everything and she lost everything, I would stay with her, even if she would stay with me. I'm just saying, but the girls won't. Girls think, well, he can't provide anymore. They don't see beyond what might happen next year. They see now. This is what's happening now, and they can't. And even if it lasts, like if you go through a bad spell, couple years, man, you're done. Your relationship's probably going to be over too. And if you go through a couple years, but if you have a woman who would really stay with you, and just even that alone would be a help. And then to be at the point where she would support, she sees he can do this, he can do that, he can do this, he can do that, and she starts helping you. And she, I know so many things. I can work wood, leather, glass, silver, steel. There ain't, I weld too, so there is almost nothing I can't do, except I can't do it on a job for 8 hours standing up on my feet, because I can't stand up that long now. But it's just that I think women are so, I'm not trying to be, make dog women out, okay? Women have deceived themselves on a lot of levels, and I mean that. And I could prove it. One, throw away your makeup. Live without a makeup for a year, just a year, and see how different life looks to you then. Because you keep thinking, I'm beautiful. Listen, I've had some really, really attractive women in my life. Was I lucky? Maybe not. But natural beauty is, it's different than putting makeup on you. And I think you there's a lot of 3 or 4s and 5s and 6s and 7s out there who all think they're a 10, and they're not. They're not 10s. They're, 4s and 5s and 6s. And then they put on the makeup, and they're still, they're prettier, but they're still not a 10. To me, and this is another thing, okay? Y'all hate niceness, and this is the craziest thing ever. You hate kind people. You hate them. You hate kindness, and there's something really, really wrong with that. Because really, I don't know what point this mentality started, and where women went from, well, if you're nice, you're disgusting, I don't like you. That's because it's might as well be, because that's how they treat men. Like if you're too kind, they don't want to be. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you knew what the new wave era was, you weren't alive when I was. So if you weren't born before '66, you probably don't know. Or very few after '66 probably knew what the new wave era was or took part in it, and I did. I was in the new wave era. We ran around the dance clubs down in Houston where people were dressing in these baggy silk shirts, and it was after disco, so it wasn't disco, man. It was new wave era, and we had the crazy hair and if you remember, Flock of Seagulls, and it was this thing that we didn't I didn't date a girl and say, hey, we're exclusive, and then turn around and cheat. I never did that. We just dated girls, and we dated each other, and nothing really. It wasn't. There was no promises made and none kept. Kind of like that. So, so that's why I got around a little bit back then, but I didn't. I moved away from Houston and went back to Louisville, and I think the worst thing, one of the biggest mistakes I made was starting to be nice. Went from being the guy I was then into being nice guy, and I think it kind of, because I wasn't always a nice guy, and that's the thing, and I certainly had a temper when I was growing up, and again, I grew up in some bad neighborhoods, really. I had a reputation too, and his truth is I didn't like bullies, and I put a few bullies' lights out for them, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't put up with that, and I didn't put up with a man hitting a woman around me. That is one step you shouldn't go. But now you got these women coming up and clocking guys like they're a man. We were younger, women didn't do that sort of thing, and unless a guy was really had to be a super jerk for her. I mean, I seen this one guy, a girl hit him because he was a jerk, but he did worse things to her. I mean, would you quit? But anyway, I've had a lot of good friends over the years, and I've lost to a lot of people, and it's just something I didn't tell y'all. Is I've lost 33 people since August the 26th of 2020. My wife was the first one who passed away. She passed away from a pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot, and they said it was caused by her birth control pills. So there's another one for Big Pharma. 33. I know four of them, including my wife, did not take something. You know what I'm talking about. The other 29, I can't say if they did or didn't. I know some of them did, for a fact. I know some of them did. I know several of them did. So, and it could be most of them. Maybe even all of them. All 29 of the other people did. I don't know. But some of the people knew my stance, and they won't even tell me, because I think that in itself almost tells me they did, because they won't tell me. And I told them, because I had early on I had someone tell me, don't. And and this is someone who's an expert, and literally a real expert, and not fake news. And my doggy sitting here bugging me. If you notice me sitting here petting him, he won't leave me alone. I think he went to go OUT, which is, if I say the word, he'll be jumping on me. What do you want? Anyway, the thing is men and women, we're at this sort of impasse, and women aren't willing to see that the superficial crap has to end. The makeup, and you talk about men, then you say a man has to be 6'2" or 3. I used to be 6 foot. That's no kidding. But I'm 57, and now I'm a little overweight, and I think I'm probably a little shorter than 6 foot now, because you do lose height as you get older. Just in case you didn't know that. I might be a hair under now, but the thing is you have all these superficial. You want them to have a Mercedes-Benz, 6-figure bank account, 6-pack, 7-figure income, right? 6 or 7-figure income. Your chances of ever meeting a guy like that is, even if I say to you, it's like 0.001%. that's still stretching, and then you think, oh, well, there's a chance. Oh, there's probably no chance. Especially now, if you're over 30, you can forget it. And again, like me, I'm not worried about ever dating again because I loved my wife. Um, she passed away, and I wasn't. Things didn't go in our favor, really, especially mine. But bad information from bad people she listened to. Let's put it like that. But I'll tell you something. In mine and my wife's 20 years together, we've probably fought less than 10 times, and most of them were after she befriended someone who now I booted them from my life, and I'll never ever have anything to do with them. And if I showed you some of the messages this person shared with my wife, and it's another woman, so it's not like that. My wife never ever cheated on me, and my wife was a good person, and she just took some very bad advice and left me in a very bad position because of the advice that she was taking. And I think it's a lot of accepting the fact that I was disabled, and they had a problem accepting it. See, because of my knees going out, and she stood right there and watched me. Before I had knee surgery on my left knee. I had osteo. That's when he told me I had osteoarthritis in my knees. I stepped off a curve and my knee went straight under. But I'd already had the appointment made to have the surgery done, and we were on vacation down in another state visiting, and I stepped off this curve and my knee just did not go to meet the ground, and I went whoop, straight off. And anyway, I'm not going to make this much longer. I just wanted to go over kind of basically over everything. I listen to all these other podcasters. They do a really good job. Dan Bongino, and there's a lot of subjects they won't touch on. Candace Owens, like you take, for instance, I'll tell you what. The next time I do a show, I will play this clip from John Brennan talking to the Council of Foreign Relations about spraying aerosol in the sky. Yeah, and they call it SAI, a stratospheric aerosol injection. Now, if they're telling us about it now, they were probably doing it 20, 30 years ago. So all this stuff about chemtrails and all that. And there was a time when I thought, I just missed, I thought that too. I thought it, but after years of coming across things, and I saw this plane with these canisters, and they were talking about somewhere they did that to make it rain. They were seeding rain clouds, and I was like, they really are doing this stuff. They've been doing it longer than they're telling you. And see, they're toxifying our air. They're toxifying our water. They're toxifying our food. They're toxifying our medicine. They're toxifying everything in your world because the WEF has this idea. It's called Malthusianism. You should look it up. Robert Thomas Malthus, I think was his name. I think that's his name. He believed that there was going to be this big population boom, then we were going to run out of food. Well, look. Right now, you could take every person on the earth and put them in an economy-sized apartment in the state of Houston, in the state of Texas. Sorry, not Houston. Sorry, in the state of Texas. Okay, then the rest of the world would be empty. But you think about that. Really, I think they're way ahead of where they think they are. And they think they are, but they're not. The world is not that close yet, and they're so far back. They're wanting to they want to take everybody out of the picture, reduce population. They want to reduce how many people are being born. And I could tell you a terrible idea I have about why they're going along with this trans thing. But think about this. Once you do it, you're sterile. Depopulation, man. They don't care how it happens, right? I think that's why they go along with it. And one more thing on this thing, and I've talked about this before, and some people may disagree with me, but I've noticed this trend of younger girls are going to school. They come out of school and they don't like white guys. They come out and they want to chase black guys. And this is not all girls, but a lot want to date black guys, and they don't like white guys at all. And there's got to be something to this, the CRT thing, because you try to make black guys the victim, and then but look, I'm gonna go this again, okay? White people were slaves too. White people were slaves before there were black people slaves, right? Maybe not. I don't know. We go back to the days of the Barbary Coast. There was black pirates, Muslim pirates, on the Barbary Coast, capturing English ships, taking Irishmen hostage, selling them in the Ottoman Empire. The Ottomans. You had, and guess what? That continued decades after slavery had ended in the only country in the world, the United States of America, that fought a war against slavery. This is the only country and the only one that's getting attacked while slavery is actually going on around the world right now. Right now, people are being sold and trafficked in slavery. Bet you're not seeing anything about that. But you're talking about something that happened 100 years ago, and most of the people, like I said, that are here now came here after slavery ended. My family came from France to Canada, and then from Canada, they came down to Kentucky and were in the Union Army. That's the Northern Army. Just so you don't figure it out. We fought against slavery. We didn't own slaves. I owe you nothing, okay? I'm going to tell you straight up, I owe you nothing. You don't owe me anything. But you have more, it's more likely that your family owes me than the other way around, because my family fought and died to save you from it. And we didn't own any. So you tell me that I owe you. And see, the problem here is these people that owned slaves back then, they're called old money, blue bloods. You might keep ignoring this whole thing. The blue bloods owned all the slaves. They were the rich people back then, you know, and most people were making a penny or two a day working, and a slave that was skilled would sell for as much as $5,000, a skilled slave. You doubt it what I'm saying? Go to a library and look up an old newspaper from the 1800s, and look in the classifieds, like where the sales and stuff are, and look for the slave. So you'll find one, and you'll see that a skilled mason slave sold, and they would take that slave, put him to work in a town, put every poor white mason out of work, because they had to get that slave to work to make his money back, right? The rich people. See, so the rich people were still making the poor people poor by buying slaves. See, y'all ignore that whole aspect of the whole thing, and you don't look at what your being here did to even the poor people that were here. You just helped make us poor. See, while you complain about what you have and don't have now, and now you have more than we do, and you still ain't having enough. You see what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. This anti-white thing has to stop, because we're all God's children. We are all different colors. We're all part of God's spectrum. It's not, and that whole thing with the rainbow, that's another thing. Y'all are messing with things y'all don't even know. That's God's spectrum, not yours. Okay, you're playing with fire. God gave that to Noah, and you can believe in God or don't believe in God. Again, I've told this in other videos. There's people who don't believe in God. Let me tell you something. You think I'm the one who's crazy because I think there's a magic man in the sky, as you put it, who made everything out of nothing. But you expect me to think you're not more crazy for believing that a magic nothing made everything out of nothing. Huh? So nothing made everything out of nothing? Excuse me, but 0 plus 0 equals 0. You would not have anything. If there was no God, you would not have the earth. You would not have anything. You wouldn't exist. 0 plus 0 equals 0. 0 minus 0 equals 0. Nothing from nothing equals nothing. And nothing is ordered of itself. You start putting this thing together in your head and you realize there is a God. You're going to have to answer to him. We're all the same. We're his children. It's not you and me and all these people try like gender identifier or whatever. I don't care. You're not all these other things. Stop pretending. It's a game of pretend to you. And it's not a game. It's just real life. We all live in it. We have to suffer the consequences of everything that you're putting the world through by following the people who started all this are the same people who own the slave. Look at this old money, okay? You start looking back. Look, the family who owned the Vanderbilts, the Rothschilds. All these big families have all this money and they were all slave owners. All of them. And these are the very people who are funding like Arabella Inc. and all this, and they're giving you money to go out there in the street and riot against the people who want to set you free permanently. You see what I'm saying? The world needs to be getting rid of those people, and then you'll have your freedom the way you wanted it. And if you want to sit forever and be lazy, let me tell you about the socialism thing. It doesn't work, okay? They tried it. Read the Mayflower Compact. They gave everybody an equal share of everything. Certain people didn't want to work. Some people were doing all the work. They said, forget it, I'm going to stop working. What happened? William Bradford tore up the Mayflower Compact, threw it away. He gave everybody an equal share of land, said you produce what you get what you produce, and then everybody started becoming prosperous. It was the first true free market capitalism in the world, and everybody made money. And then everybody wanted to come to America. And that's when the real flow of people started coming from overseas. Well, I'm going to stop this video and get off of here because I'm running out of room in this device. So you all take care, and I'll see you the next time. And I'll put that Brennan clip in the next video I present.